In this video, I'm gonna working on the user experience of our digital screen. In this video, I'm gonna cover on how to make this form look more professional that's able to use on the production mode. Most tutorial on YouTube doesn't seem to cover this part. I think this little change also really important for our application. So let's start with a little change on the user interface. I'm gonna add a label on each text input since this input doesn't show any detail about this input when user fill in the information. So let's start with the label, the style of the form. So I'm gonna change some style here. We gonna add first I'm gonna add the label here. We have placeholder here, and there will be another props is label. Maybe say int phone number, and this one should be an example. I will write something like this. And for username, maybe add another label called username, and placeholder should be, let's say, John Senior. Password, so let's test it first. So something like this, and we're gonna change another two form. This one should be password. We check another two, or this one should be placeholder. Should be something like this. Okay, password confirmation. Same. Okay, it'll be something like this, and I'm gonna change some style real quick. So maybe it's label style. And padding should be this one. Alright, so I think that is okay for now. I'm gonna use scroll view inside, wrap it out for this layout instead. This one I'm gonna ignore this. And then this one we're gonna wrap it with the scroll view. And when we focus the keyboard, it will show something like this. Okay, and then gonna add some style here. This one, when we focus this and we want to, when we click on this, so it's the default behavior. Let's say keyboard tab handle, and let's be flex. Say this one padding tab 20. Okay, and then what we do need is we need to focus on the next import after we change, we press the next, it should have the next button here, and we press it, we gonna submit to focus to the next input, and the last input should be done. So what we should do is we have to add the props here. So we have return type, return t type. This one should be next, and we will have on submit editing. So this one is trigger after we blur we focus out the input. So let's say cancel log username blur. So when we blur something like this, it will fire. So this one we should focus to the next import. So how to do that? We need to add the ref. Ref, I will use ref from React. Then we will call it here. Name ref, view ref. We put the null for the first initial, and we will pass it here with the ref. So to use ref to pass the ref prop to the another reusable component that we create, we have to add the forward ref. So let's add here forward ref. We have to wrap it here. Forward ref take two arguments. So the first one is the prop and the second one is ref. You can pass the ref as the prop here, or you can add the prop from the text field prop. It also works. So I will leave it like this, and then let's go here. I will pass the ref here. Let's say username ref. Okay, and then I'm gonna add another ref here. Yeah, let's say this one should be phone number ref. Okay, and this one should be phone number ref, and this one we can call this import ref, and we will access the focus method inside it. Focus. Okay, and it should work. And this one we should have to focus this, and we add another ref here. We'll create another ref called password ref reference. For a better coding style, you should add the suffix or prefix. Because it is the ref, should call the ref at the end. This one should be password ref, and this one we can focus on this. Put here current focus. So let's try it out. Here you can see it is the next button. So when we click next, it will focus on another input. See? So how to do this dynamic? It is pretty hard, so I'm gonna do this as the dynamic. So first we have to create a dynamic ref. To do that, I will install a library called use dynamic ref here. So to do that, I'm gonna install it. So to set the ref, you can use set ref here, and to get the ref, you can get the ref here. So let's go to here. I'm gonna create a dynamic ref. So let's import it. Use first. Okay. Use dynamic run this project. So I'm gonna use it here. So we call it use get if, set if, and then we can use dynamic here. So how can we make it dynamic? So first I'm gonna create an variable called ref keys. It will have the name of the ref and the next ref. First I'm gonna create an interface. So interface, I will call it ref key. In this we have ref as a string. This string is the name of the current import ref, and another one I will call it next ref. The next ref that we gonna focus, I will make it optional. So because when we at the last import, we not gonna focus any import, so I'm gonna make it optional. And another one is the return key type, and this one is the string, or we can call it here maybe type. Let's check this first. Return key type here. It has many done, go, next, start, and send. And another one is blur on submit. This prop, when we pass to the text input, it gonna check if it's true. It gonna close the keyboard after we blur the button. But if we make it false, it's not gonna close the keyboard. So we call it boolean. This one is optional too. Okay, and this one we will have the type is hierarchy arrays. So this one is a collection of our import information. So this one I'm gonna call it ref. My first ref is username ref, and the next ref, this one should be a string. The next ref is would be phone number ref, and then the third one is return key type, connect, and below onSubmit false. Okay, so this one I'm gonna copy this, oops, and this one should be phone number ref. It's our second import, and I will call this password here, and this one should be password confirmation ref x2, and this one is the password confirmation ref. And the last one we don't have to focus another import, so I'm gonna remove the next ref here, and return key type should be done instead of next. Below submit should be true. Okay, that's all, and gonna create a function. I will call it generate on submit ref. Okay, and then I'm gonna call this this function will take two arguments, index point number, and the second one I will it will take, I think should be it, and then we can check here. But we check we can get information from here. I will call it ref info, and then if index 0, we use this ref key here and get the information from index for the first import. So when we use it, we should use it here, and then we can oops, let's write this first. This one we will return object, and we have ref. We will set the ref here, so we get the information from the first object here inside this array, and we will get the information from the ref here. So we can set ref the ref info dot ref, and then our on submit function on submit editing. Let me check here. On submit editing should be, we will check first if the next info next ref exists. Next ref, we will return a function here. So to focus this, we will use first we will get the next ref first. So to get the next ref, we can use the get ref here, and then pass the ref info and next ref here, and then we can access the current and then focus. Or else we gonna pass undefined here. Okay, also return key type, it will be ref info dot return key tag, and another one is blur on submit ref info dot blur on submit. Okay, this one I will type unknown. I'm gonna ignore this check. Okay, so after that I'm gonna remove this 3 here, and we will pass it like this. This one is the first import here. We should pass the first index here too. This one is have the type error here. Let's check this. This one should be return an object here. Let's say an object like this. Maybe it work. Okay. Okay, after that we're gonna pass this to remove this thing. This one is the second index. This one is the third index. It should be the second index. And this one, the last one. Okay, so let's check this out. Is it work properly? Well, we usually focus the and after user input here, then gonna click next. Okay. Oops. I'm gonna click next too. Okay. Okay, it's work. So I'm gonna check this here too. This one should be not allow the string, should be number, and we can check here. Let me check first. We can change the mistake here. We can pass the types errors. Code phone numbers must be a number. Okay. Alright, so okay, so now we got this function reusable, so we gonna move this to our util to make this reusable to another component too. So let's create another file called get generate onSubmitEditing ts, and then this one we will put here spot for generate onSubmitEditing. This one we will copy the interface here, and we gonna export this interface too. This one we should import return key type. Okay, and this one we should add another property called ref key params. Ref keys, it will be an array ref key here, and then we will have the set ref. Let's just call it any, get ref any. Okay, so this function should be reusable. I'm gonna use this, import it from here, import generate, oops, util generate this. So let's on submit brief. Okay, and then we can import the interface here. Ref key like this. and this one we can remove it here. Okay, so we should create another. Let's check here. Okay, and then I'm gonna call it from, let's say, generate ref instead. Ref. And then we will use it here. Return generate index ref key, set ref, get ref. Okay, so these two should be work, right? Okay, still working. So I think that's all for this setup. So we will have, so next we gonna get all information here to our onSubmit. To do that, we gonna use let's check here. Okay, this one should be, let's check first. Six. Okay, so we should disable this button before all of these for input valid. To do that, we use the form stat. We have to check if the form is valid, or it have a dirty field and it has errors or not. So I will import another one called is empty load dash empty. And then we check it in the button here. This button should have another props called disable. We call it this boolean, or I will say button props. We import button prop here. And we can pass the button prop here. Okay. To that, I'm gonna pass the button prop this, button props disable. Disable, we will check is this form is valid. So it's valid. It only disable when this form is not invalid, and we have the errors. Is empty errors. Disable when the error is exists, and disable when the T field is empty. So check the empty of the dirty fields. Oops. Take this. Okay, these three should be work, I guess. I refresh this. This one should be not the end, should be or instead. Okay, so everything should be enough for this form. This form should be enough for use in production. So after that, I'm gonna check if the data is submitted properly. Oh, another thing is we should get the information from here. So I'm gonna check we will have a default this one country code. I'm gonna use the default country code to US. Let's say use state port here, use state. This one we can call it US. What should be country code? This country code we can access it from this one country code, the tab. Okay, and then we have country code here. Oh, let's say country code, set country code. Another one we will have the calling code, calling code, set calling code. This one should be the calling code, string, just calling code. This one should be want. So we have to update the state when this one selected. Let's check first. This one we will set set country code with val dot. This one should be the country, I guess. Here we check this first. Country, okay. We had the country type here. So this one we will have the country code is the CCA2, this one, and we will set the calling code, set calling code val dot calling code is an array, so I will choose the first array here. Okay, should be work. And then I will say this one when we send to the server, to our registration API, we will say send it with the country code here. Let's say here. This one will take all the data here, and we will filter the phone number. The phone number should be the plus sign, and then we will have our calling code, and then we will have data dot phone number like this. So these two, and gonna be console run data send here. Okay, so let's check. John Ross. This one. Okay, let's check this. Alright. Okay, that's all for this video. In the next video, we gonna implement with the Laravel backend on this register part. I'm really excited for the next video since we will cover on Laravel part. So stay tuned and do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell button for upcoming video. Thank you.